It's twilight time.
Wanda and Vision, aren't we a five-pair?
This is our home now. I want us to fit in.
Oh, this is gonna be a gas!
Congratulations on this wonderful show. It's super awesome. I think fans are gonna really dig it, and they're in for a huge surprise when they get to see it. So talk a little bit about the reaction you had when they come to you with this idea of Scarlet Witch and Vision living out their, I guess, suburban dreams.
Well, it's funny because I think even Paul, when we were doing press for Infinity War, had made a couple jokes in interviews where, because of Vision in the Suburbs, that comic book series, he had said, wouldn't it be funny if there's just like a really natural drama television show of just, Wanda and Vision trying to be normal in the suburbs? And it's kind of a version of what ended up happening. And so when Kevin and Lou Desposito, they shared their plan, I think I first was a bit nervous about being one of the first TV formats for Marvel's transition onto Disney Plus, and that just felt kind of nerve-wracking and intimidating. But the idea of the sitcom in more of like a Twilight Zone-y way was immediately exciting to me. And what Jack Schaefer ended up doing with that spawn of the idea just was incredibly original and felt new and felt like a really fun way of telling our story. And it felt very specific that it had to be told on television. It wouldn't have suited a Marvel film. It's specific to the format itself. And so I love that as well about our project.
At the end of phase 3, no one really knew where these characters would go, all the rest of the characters in the MCU, as well as the new one. So, were you hoping that you'd get to continue playing her?
Yeah. I never know how much longer I'm a part of the universe. I don't have like a 9-picture deal or whatever, it's always kind of changing for the last 6 years. And so it's always surprising to me when I find out about a new project or a new way to use Wanda. And especially with Paul, when we killed Paul, he and I, we both were trying to figure out, we're like, well, I have to be able to bring you back. You're a robot. I'm a witch. Like, we'll figure this out. And we just didn't know what capacity, that we would be able to explore our characters even more. And I felt like I just kind of I had a whole new rediscovery of who she is because of this show, and having these opportunities to tell a larger story about her. And it feels like I've kind of rejuvenated and given her more life after 6 years of playing her. And so that feels incredible as well.
So Kevin has said Scarlet Witch is the strongest hero currently in the MCU. Is the show going to shed more light on that?
I'm not sure, really. I do believe, and we talk about who's the most powerful in these worlds. I do believe she is. I mean, her abilities seemingly seem endless. And I think this show's not specific to, who's the most powerful, but it is specific to her coming to terms with her abilities instead of rejecting them or resenting them.
Fans are going to want to know all about the villains. The villains in these movies are as important as the heroes. What can you tell us about the antagonist of WandaVision?
What I think is really fun is someone the other day said, usually when you watch these Marvel movies, kind of when the villain is going to appear, and you kind of know the villain before you even watch it because of promotion or trailers or the story. And at the end of episode 3, you still don't really know what or who the villain is with our show. And I just think that mystery, I would love that mystery to continue for as long as we can until it's revealed, or whatever is revealed.
How does what's happening in WandaVision impact the rest of the MCU? I know that this, in a different world, this would have come out and there would have already been movies in theaters. And this is the first Marvel property we're getting since Spider-Man or Endgame. So how does this sort of influence what's going to happen in the rest of the MCU?
Well, all I know is that Kevin's larger plan is that that it's all informing one another, that the TV shows and the films are all informing one another in real time. So however they are released, they are all, the worlds, the universes are completely interwoven. And so I believe that it's just going to continue with all the other shows that they have planned. It just gives these opportunities to tell these stories in a different format, and kind of challenging how we, reveal a story, and giving the films like a richer backstory and a richer life of what happened before. So it's this completely interwoven next phase, which is going to be, I think, really interesting to see how it all comes together.
When we see the cast list for WandaVision, obviously there's going to be some other people from other Marvel movies popping up. If you had to give, some fans some essential viewing for WandaVision before they watch this week, what are the handful of titles that you recommend that they check out?
I think they should check out everything that Paul and I are in, and then an Ant-Man and a Thor. Right?
That's what I would say. I mean, there's just enough days in the week next week to do all that before they watch the show on Friday.
Yeah.
One of the things you joked about on the set in Infinity War was the level of secrecy. And I thought you were kidding, but then as the day progressed, I realized you weren't kidding. So what was the level of secrecy like on WandaVision?
I think most of our ensemble cast didn't get scripts. I think they got pages with dialogue. It was usually like a verbal explanation from our director, Matt Shackman, of what was happening so that they could have context. And yeah, and only there's a lot of things, like they don't give out call sheets and all this stuff, and names are secret, and all, like there's so many code words for everything, and it's just, you have to hand in your sides at the, everything has to get like shredded and burned. So it's all just, I mean, I've become completely used to it. I think it's more like for Tiana and for Catherine, just like being thrusted into this world. I think that was completely new to them and feels so strange at first to be so secretive.
You mentioned the interwoven nature of what's coming up. Tell me a little bit about why fans should be excited for this next phase of Marvel and all the things that maybe they've got planned that about, or just, just as an outsider, why should they be, excited for what's next?
I think what Kevin has developed will have a large imprint in this time in film, and now with television, and an opportunity that he has taken to really allow both mediums to live in the same space and universe. And I just think the creativity that you can allow to happen with all these characters and all this original source material from the comics for, almost 100 years. Actually, it's like 80 years or something of these comics. And it's just an incredible thing that he has done. And I just think that it's very unique and specific to this Marvel universe. And it's fun to be a part of it in in a small way.